Hey Super Animals, big and small. Welcome to SAR-Cap. My name is Shifty and I'll be updating you on the recent events of Super Animal Royale. In this edition of SAR-Cap, I'll be going over a Mooseletter covering September, a monthly newsletter and development blog by Pixile Studios. This edition covers a progress update for the expansion, a questions and answers segment, and showcasing Super Fanart chosen by Pixile. It also covered the 2025 Halloween update and the blocking launcher, a clock and crossbow. I discussed this in a video here, found in the description below or info card in the top right. As you can see, the content and quest section is proudly sitting at a golden 100%. Pixile has fully completed and locked in the entire story and questline, officially shifting their focus to the localization phase. Console ports are also about halfway through development, bringing the expansion closer to completion. Meanwhile, the finishing touches are being applied to the user interface and the new Friends features, rounding out the last pieces of the social and gameplay experience. Hamsterball Racing, along with its debut set of tracks, is also approaching finalization and is nearing completion. With each component lining up, the team is entering the final stretch of development for this expansion, laying a solid foundation for the future of Super Animal Royale. Hopping over to Blue Sky and Twitter, Pixile asked the community for questions to answer within the Mooseletter. If you have any questions you want an answer to, be sure to check out Pixile Studio over on Blue Sky and Twitter. Unflap Flea asks, has it been considered leaning into the horror implications of SAR more, or is it difficult with age restrictions? Like genetically modified animals with human qualities is kind of horrific. I can imagine some creations coming out of Dogner's lab that look straight from the thing. Pixel details, our goal with darker elements is typically not horror for its own sake, though we do have a bit of fun with that during Halloween. We use them in service of dark comedy to explore moral and philosophical ideas through extremes of absurdism. That's the tone Super Animal World aims for, even when things get a little shocking. Age ratings do play an important role, and they shape how we present ideas so the game remains approachable. At the same time, we layer in subtle adult themes so that other players can pick up on and appreciate, while younger players enjoy the surface story and jokes, similar to how Pixar writes for multiple age groups. We have a lot of millennials on our team, so you might notice a bit of that sensibility in what we find entertaining. There are moments where we dial something back if it feels out of step with the game's tone. It's always a balancing act. There's definitely room to explore darker themes in the future, and we think you'll be pleased with some of the places the story goes in Super Animal World. Oh, the lore of this game is a fantastic balance of dark and child-friendly. On the surface, it's a fun game to play touching on clones and an uprising for their own rights, to stop being used for entertainment and profit, but the more you look into it, the worse it gets, with touches of genocide, the sad story of suppression with Twinkle, the possibility that this freedom we think we have is an illusion, and the existence of SAR tonight, with the idea that we're still being used and broadcast to humans for their entertainment. Fizero asks, do the glyphs in the pyramid actually say anything, or are they more cool symbols with some noticeable figures added? If they say anything, do they follow a modern simplified interpretation, or a more traditional interpretation? Pixel comments, it's not a full-on novel with hidden symbols, so we'd probably place it closer to cool symbols with some noticeable figures added, but we did some light research on how to write traditional hieroglyphics beforehand, and there's actually a specific story being told within them. With the expansion, I wonder if we'll see any sort of puzzle, or maybe even an ARG associated with the game that'll make use of glyphs like the ones in the pyramid. It would be cool to see something like this, and the community working together in a way that's not quite seen as of yet. Red asks, will the true night mode ever return? Pixel replies, for those who aren't familiar with it, the original iteration of night mode restricted your line of sight to a cone in the direction you were aiming. We eventually reworked it to be purely atmospheric, since the limited vision meant players had to spin constantly to see around them and play competitively, and that wasn't much fun in practice. We found that the mechanics work better in single player games than it did in a PvP game. It's very unlikely we'll bring it back in its original form, but it's possible that kind of mechanic could return in a future mode if it fit the gameplay. Hide and seek? Search and destroy? I would love to see something like that return. There could be a nice balance between the restrictive vision and gameplay that could work, and to stop players spinning like a helicopter, some form of easing could be applied to the flashlight, so it follows smoothly and eases into the stop. I'd also love for some other modes to be implemented into the game officially that are more party-esque and casual. I made a couple suggestions in the Super Animal Royale Discord, like hide and seek, a boss rush, a TTT inspired mode, and gun game, which I'll share in the description below. Angela asks, in addition to finally knowing what relationship Halloween has with Howl, I would like to know how the design for this occasion's temporary weapon was decided. Pixile replies, the aesthetics for the walking launcher were definitely influenced by the time of year. We knew our second limited time gun would debut during Halloween and figured it would be the perfect opportunity to create something that leaned into the event's theme, with the Walking Joes being a natural fit. Functionally, we were inspired by how the Walking Joes explode in The Walking Dead. When deciding how to launch them, we wanted something that felt mechanically similar to the Sparrow launcher with its proven bird launching design, but with the explosiveness of a BCG. The bow and sparrow, which sits below the Sparrow launcher, actually behaves more like the BCG, with its hold to shoot mechanic. So this gave us the perfect chance to riff from the Sparrow launcher's style, while creating an explosive option that plays differently than the BCG. And don't worry, we haven't forgotten about Howl and Halloween. We'd love to explore that connection more in the future. For anyone who was reading the newsletters, we were given an insight as to when the next limited time weapon would be, and that was during the Halloween update. It's a pretty fun gun to use, and certainly does feel like a combination of a BCG and Sparrow launcher, and designed really well for this season. I've touched a little more on this gun in the 2025 Halloween video I made, go check it out! Otto asks, what country is Basor Island part of? Pixel notes, it's a private island in the Pacific Ocean, so no country has jurisdiction, but we'll leave it at that for now to preserve some mystery. To add some information as we know it, the island is located within international waters of the Pacific Ocean, and was originally a theme park before the focus of super animals due to the discovery of Superite, which also allow for gene editing. From there, a lot still remains a mystery, but a mystery which may have answers as we complete quests and explore the island in the expansion. Fizzero asks, if you drink too much health juice, does your pee turn green? Pixel answers, yes, thanks for the hard-hitting questions, Fizz. What I want to know is, how much protein is in the health juice, considering the crusher is open to the public? And finally, the wonderful community of Super Animal Royale has made various pieces of art, and Pixel has chosen to showcase 5 for this month's newsletter. Remember to use the hashtag Super Animal Royale when posting your fan art online. Before we end, I want to also sneak in a big congratulations to community manager Katie and their partner Banana Milk. They both met while playing Super Animal Royale and have recently gotten married. I wish you both the very best. And this has been SAR-Cap. Thank you for listening, and keep fighting, super animals.